Hello, how are you? Today I want to tell you this story. Well, this is a memory that I really like from when I lived in China. I'm one of those people who believes that experiences and memories, especially good experiences and good memories, are the most important thing. This may sound very direct, but in my mind I'm completely aware that we are just passing through this world. I mean, it doesn't matter if someone is famous or just a common person from some neighborhood who goes grocery shopping every day, whether they work a 9 to 5 office schedule 6 days a week or are the owner of a huge company with 200 employees. In the end, yeah, we all gonna live. I mean, it's the sad and cold truth. Then everyone's beliefs or religion come into play, whether you are Christian or Buddhist or Jewish or Muslim, or if you simply believe in nothing and think that everything just ends and that's it. Physically, we all share the same destiny. And besides, we don't know when our time will come. I mean, there are young and healthy people who suddenly have something happen to them and that's it. I remember that about 2 or 3 years ago, there was a man, a fashion designer. He designed clothes for celebrities. He was young, around 50 years old or something like that. He was handsome, had a lot of money, and looked incredibly healthy. Suddenly one day he went to his office and when he came back home he had a heart attack and that was the end of it. Of course everyone was shocked. Of course this kind of events always leaves us a little reflective. I don't mean that this is something very common, but this can happen, as in fact it happened to this man. Obviously, we all want to spend our time in this world in the best way possible. And for that, we need money. I love driving a nice car, going on vacation whenever I can, staying in a nice hotel, and buying uh, the clothes that I like. I like material things. But somehow, all those things are material things. Yeah, that when I leave this world, hopefully a long time from now, they will still remain here, and my family or whoever stays here will sell them or give them away, or I don't know. All these things, well, they will rot here somewhere inside a box, maybe in the shadow of a dark room. That's why I prefer to spend my money on experiences rather than material things. And if I have to give someone a gift, I try to make it an experience, a moment. Uh, it can be a trip, a dinner, things like that. Gifts that uh, end in an instant, that are consumed, but leave us with a good memory. And it can be something very simple. I don't know what, just one chocolate and talk and chat while watching a movie. And this story, well, goes in that direction. One of many stories from when I lived in China. In China, I think practically every restaurant, expensive or cheap, small or big, has one or two people standing at the entrance to welcome you. Almost always, well, there are people, one or two, standing at a podium or beside the door. They open the door for you with a smile, very handsome or very pretty, depending, always well dressed, with a good attitude. And they greet you saying welcome. It doesn't always happen, but almost always. For me, it's something very good because here that almost well actually actually almost never happens. Here many times it's quite the opposite. In some places it feels like the only thing they care about is a tip you are going to leave and that you get out as fast as possible so another customer can come in. Don't get me wrong, not every place is like that, of course, and I get it. A restaurant is a business and we are customers. They need to earn money as much as possible. Well, so then when you walk in and right from the start, they treat you so well, like a king or like a queen. It makes you want to spend all your money with joy, with happiness. I think the Chinese people, well, they are far ahead of us in their business mentality. They breathe business. It's in their blood. But well, that's another topic. When I had just arrived in the country, I didn't speak any Chinese, and I mean nothing. I can speak Spanish besides English, of course, but the place where I had gone to live, a city called Changsha, was an inland city. An inland city in China is like actually living in New York. I mean, because of the size, the infrastructure, the buildings, the subway, the malls, the amount of people. But in the end, it's still a place where there aren't many foreigners and local culture is everywhere, so finding people who spoke English was difficult. And people speaking Spanish was almost impossible. Back then, I had already gotten my first job as a teacher. I already had my first yuan, my first Chinese money, my first renminbi. But everything was very unstable. In theory, they were processing my visa. Um, then they all almost expelled me from the country. uh, I almost went to the jail. Well, a lot of things. Life is like that. We have to enjoy our life until the very last minute, every day. But unless I already had my first small salary. It was very small, but it was my first salary. I could already buy some things, small things, but I could already feed my soul and well, buy some food. I also remember that back then my girlfriend she worked at a company located right in the center of the city. It wasn't very far from the house we rent, around 15 minutes away, something like that. But she had to take a bus. On the other hand, the school where I worked was a little far away, maybe 10 minutes more. For the average worker, this was a routine, like anywhere else in the world. But for me, it was an experience I enjoyed because everything was new. The letters, the signs, the way people behaved. The thing is, every evening I finished my class almost at the same time my girlfriend finished work. So we will meet directly at home when we both arrive. Then we will eat something and watch a movie, well, these kind of things. But one day I don't remember why the second class I had it got cancelled. I think the students hadn't been able to arrive or something like that. So they canceled the class and let me leave early. I thought it was great. I mean, I think we all like when we get out of work early. When our boss say you can leave now. So I took those 2 or 3 hours to go for a walk. I more or less already knew the way, so I took the bus and got off in the city center. It was around 4 in the afternoon, or maybe 5, something like that. And I went exploring around there. I didn't understand absolutely anything. I was deaf, blind, and mute, if you know what I mean. But emotions came at me from everywhere, the sounds, the smells. I was in China, in the other side of the world, where everything was different. Of course, I did enjoy it. Back then, I didn't even have a camera, just a phone that took very low quality pictures. I had spent all my money traveling to China, I had no more, so I only have a few photos from those moments. But everything is in my mind, in my memory. That's important. At one point, after walking down, who knows what street, I came across a flower stand selling flowers, of course. Colorful bouquets, roses, everything very beautiful. And that felt like a sign. I believe in signs. Then, when I kept walking, I reached a very nice restaurant too, with quite a few people waiting at the door. I thought, if people are waiting, it must be a good place. It turned out that this place was a Pizza Hut. But in China, foreign fast food chains, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, KFC, all of that, are very different from here. They are much bigger, more organized, nicer somehow. It's another it's another experience beyond just eating a burger or a pizza. Luckily, well, they had a menu beside the entrance and the sidewalk, and since it was a Pizza Hut, it was in Chinese and English, and it had the prices, the most important. So I looked and I realized I could go in. The little money I had was enough for that, for buy a pizza. And that's when I got an idea. First, I went to the flower stand and bought a bouquet. I didn't need to speak Chinese for that. I simply point with my finger at the one I wanted, and they gave it to me. And as always, Chinese people, well, have a calculator near it, so the person typed the numbers and showed me the price. I don't know, maybe he cheated me for being a foreigner, or maybe not. I don't know, but it was expensive. Well, then I took a piece of paper out of my backpack and a pen, and I wrote a small love note and put it inside, in the middle of the flowers. Then, with the bouquet, I went back to the restaurant, and when I got to the door, a girl welcomed me. 欢迎光临, they always say like this. I asked her if she spoke English, and the poor girl said with her hands, no, 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 no. I went to call another guy, also very handsome, I mean, well dressed. The guy, this guy spoke, well, very bad English, but at least he understood me. I told him I wanted to make a reservation for an hour later and that I would come with my girlfriend. And I asked if I could leave the bouquet there so that when we arrived and ordered some food, someone could come and give it to her. The man looked at me surprised and said, yeah. So he wrote down my name, looked carefully at my face, maybe so he couldn't get confused. Although I don't know if he could get confused because I don't know if there was another foreigner, and even less one foreigner asking him for something like that. But well, I gave him the flowers and then left. It was almost my girlfriend's time to leave work, so I went to the door of her workplace on the street and stayed there waiting for her. Where when she came out, well, she saw me, we greet each other and half. Um, she was obviously surprised to see me there and explained what had happened. Then I told her that that night we wouldn't be having dinner at home because I had made a reservation somewhere. She was surprised and asked how I had done it if I didn't speak Chinese. But there's always a way if you really want to. So we walked there. It wasn't that far. It was already time. When we arrived there were other people welcoming customers. So I showed them the reservation, and they let us in. We sat down at a table somewhere. They gave us the menu, and we ordered. Honestly, I wasn't sure if the guy with the flowers had really understood what I had told him. But well, in any case, he will give the flowers to his girlfriend or his mother, or they will leave them as decoration somewhere. That's what I thought. But now, luckily, he understood me. A few minutes later, a girl came bringing the drinks we had ordered, and another girl with the bouquet, she handed it to my girlfriend. This poor girl seemed very embarrassed. Her face was red like a tomato. I think she didn't say anything. She just handed her the flowers like that, the way Chinese people do politely, and left. Obviously, my girlfriend accepted them, but didn't understand anything until she took the small letter I had written, and then, well, she understood. We both laughed a lot and had a very good dinner, especially because in China, people, well, lovers, don't usually do this kind of thing. Let's say they don't usually show emotions in public. You don't see couples kissing in the street and these kind of things. I didn't know that either. I was a newcomer. I knew nothing. Maybe if I had known, I wouldn't have done it. Who knows? But sometimes it's good to be impulsive. I think you shouldn't overthink things. And this is a good memory that remains with us to this day. And this is what I meant when I said I prefer spending my money on a good moment rather than on material things themselves. Sure, of course, the flowers cost money, the dinner cost money, but if everything else hadn't happened, it would have been just another dinner, like so many others we had through the years. We don't remember the others, but we remember this one. I think it was like uh, our first real date, or at least the first date I could afford. Anyway, that's today's story. Continue tomorrow.